PlayStation owners are livid right now, and they're taking to the Twitter streets and all the different places that they can speak out about this, and I'm with them 100% on this. Now, listen, sometimes things happen, and you're just like, you know what, listen, these things happen, no big deal, everything will get worked out, but at the end of the day, with stuff like this, I think you have to sort of question what's going on and just say, you know what, Sony, it's time to listen to the fans on this one. And it's time to actually give people what they're asking for, because this is not right. And a lot of gamers are, obviously going to be talking about this for a while. This is something that honestly is really, really bad. I don't understand it. So we know for a fact that Sony prides itself on being able to go out there and say, hey, we're Sony. We're for the gamers. We're pro players. We're pro developers. We're this, we're that. The thing is, you have to actually be those things to say you're those things. And unfortunately, from what I can tell, that's just kind of buzzwords and speak, and it's never been more so obvious than right at this particular moment. And we're actually starting to see some of these gamers call them out. So what we're getting into right here is, this has to do with Gran Turismo 7 specifically. Now, Sony made a big deal. We all remember this is how you share a game. And they did that little video where they show you how you share a game, because Microsoft allegedly wasn't going to let you use games or share games or anything like that. Everybody was hating on Microsoft for, online only and stuff like that. We fast forward to now, Gran Turismo 7 only works online. Even the single player portion. So it's been offline for more than 30 hours. And who knows, maybe by the time this video goes live, it'll be back online. But still, a game that people spent $70+ on is offline for over a day. Something extremely bad appears to have happened to the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 Gran Turismo 7 game. The recently released game, which was supposed to have a simple patch yesterday, but instead it's turned into more of 30 hours of downtime. The game was supposed to be offline from just 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. for patch 1.07, which was already controversial as it had elements to increase the grind of the game, which fans didn't like. But now it's been over 30 hours since the downtime started, and 22 hours since we heard anything from Gran Turismo developers themselves about what's going on. All they had to say was that they were extending maintenance on the patch, and they asked for patience and will quote-unquote notify everyone as soon as possible when this is likely to be completed. It says, due to an issue found in Update 1.07, we will be extending the server maintenance period. We will notify everyone as soon as possible when this is likely to be completed. We apologize for this inconvenience and ask for your patience while we work to solve the issue. Now, again, that was over 22 hours ago. The problem here is the lack of online play greatly impacts the entirety of the game, including single player. Almost all of the game needs servers to function. So the only things you can do when the game is offline are world circuits, music rally, and AI races. But even that seems to have been heavily hamstrung by the outage, as it's barely playable in that regard as well. So anyway, according to this, and we're seeing some tweets from Tom Warren here in this Forbes article. I'm going to link this so you guys can check it out. It says, Gran Turismo has now been down for more than 24 hours with no communication for 21 hours. If you're playing Gran Turismo 7 in offline mode right now, it's a painfully slow experience. So the solution to get the limited single player mode to work appeared to be to turn off the internet on your PlayStation altogether, but this is a pretty unacceptable situation all around, as it is almost a total lack of communication from the developers themselves about what's going on. Gamers don't just go down for 30 hours, and if they do, they need more than a singular update about what's happening 24 hours ago. As such, some players are attempting to get refunds, and it's a little hard to blame them. Gran Turismo 7 is far from the only game to rely heavily on online servers, even for single-player content, but this shows the risk of our new online connected gaming landscape, where there is increasingly no such thing as true single-player for many games anymore. Whether or not you own a disc, when things go bad, they go really bad, and now GT7 players are concerned about their save states when the game comes back online, while others are demanding some sort of compensation for such a lengthy outage. We will see when this gets solved, as many players waking up this morning. There has been some sort of update issued from the team. It's not an actual fix to get the game back online, and it would be great to know exactly what happened there or how they'll try to avoid another mass outage like this in the future. So people are really pissed, and I can't say that I blame them because I would be pissed too. Now, the other part of the story that I briefly mentioned, actually I can get in more in depth on a different article. So there's going to be 2 different articles that you can check out in the description below. But there were microtransaction criticisms for Gran Turismo 7, but the latest patch actually made it harder to earn the cars. The patch appears to target races that players were using to farm in-game currency. So, again, the funny part to me was, and listen, I don't have Gran Turismo 7. I had thought about getting it, but honestly, I've got so much to play as it is that I figured I would just pick it up at a later date. And to be honest with you, the fact that the reviews were done and then they activated the microtransactions, I feel like that's a little bit of an underhanded move. So the latest patch has reduced the payout of several races while fixing 2 late game races that were being used to farm credits due to a bug. At launch, VGC reported that some Gran Turismo 7 cars cost as much as 8 times what they did in Gran Turismo Sport, if purchased using real money. While many racing games feature microtransactions, some of the more high-end cars in GT7 are so expensive that they require a significant amount of gameplay to obtain enough credits to buy them via normal means, with some cars potentially taking dozens of hours of racing. Other cars, most notably high-value legendary cars, also rotate in and out of the various shops in the game, a tactic that could be perceived as the FOMO effect, fear of missing out, which basically encourages players to top up their in-game currency with real money so they'll be able to afford certain cars before they're gone. On top of this, and unlike in previous games in the series, players are unable to sell their cars to earn credits. Once a player has finished the game's campaign, the main goal is to collect the legend cars, the most expensive cars in the game. Simply playing the game's races over and over is the only in-game option to earn these cars. As a result of this, some members of the community came up with lists of tracks that could be exploited for easy credits. The list appears to be the main target of the game's latest patch, and the patch, which reduces the number of credits earned from specific races the players had been using to alleviate the grind towards these high-end cars. It's being received very poorly, especially as Gran Turismo 7 is a full-on $70 game. According to this, the following races have had their payout changed. World Touring Car, now it's getting 5,000 credits where it was getting the 70,000. World Touring Car 800 Mazda Circuit, same deal. So a lot of these you were getting, 70,000 credits, and now you're getting 5,000 credits, and it's a real kind of bummer. Cars in the game actually range from tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars for lower spec vehicles to many millions of credits for the most high performance ones. Gran Turismo Sport let players buy individual cars as microtransactions, with the vast majority of cars costing between 99 cents and $4.99 each. This is no longer the case in Gran Turismo 7. Now a Porsche 919 Hybrid, which can be bought for $2.99 in Gran Turismo Sport, can only be bought for 300,000 credits, which would require the player to spend at least $40. So, again, this is really BS, and I can see why so many people are a little bit upset about this and clearly talking about this. They're a little bit tone deaf, it seems. I'm not sure if it's a Sony deal or Polyphony Digital deal, but it does seem like a little bit of a misunderstanding here between what gamers actually want and what Sony is actually out there delivering. So hopefully they can actually go out there and fix this. Get the game online, first of all, because obviously that's going to be a bit of a problem. The fact that you can't actually play the game that you paid money for. Yeah, I would say that's a heck of a problem. And at the same time, games are meant to be fun, right? And I don't think that people or developers understand it's not fun, farming things and grinding, right? Like, if you're artificially creating your game to add time to it, it just honestly does not make much sense, and a lot of people are probably not going to be very happy about that. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I guess that, you know, that's a staple of some type of games or whatever. But for me personally, if I got to sit there and do the same thing over and over and over again to progress my game, I'm going to quit pretty early on because, you know, it's just not something that I'm very interested in doing. You know, I don't think the patience for stuff like that these days. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, one of the reasons why I wasn't a big fan of Destiny was because of that reason. People were like, "Oh, you got to get your levels up. You got to get your levels up." I'm like, "Well, how do I do that?" "Oh, well, you got to replay that same level a million times that you just did." Right? Like, that's not fun to me, you know? Like, that's why I think, like, in RPGs and stuff, you have side quests because they make it fun. You wouldn't sit there and redo the main quest over and over and over again because it wouldn't make much sense to do that if you understand where I'm coming from. So yeah, very interesting indeed. Let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up, crap gamer out.